interview with DJ Van SPIRE on the 9th of February 2026. How do you feel being able to go back on tour this year? Are you very excited? Are you very nervous? What are people expecting? People are going to be expecting a big one this year. I started in 2024. Started out DJing in 2024. And what happened was, let us just backtrack a little bit. So it was 2024, and basically what happened was, I was meeting up with a friend, and I remember coming out the house and thinking, oh no, I haven't got no headphones, no Bluetooth headphones, no earphones, or, earbuds, and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because everywhere I go, I like to have some music. And I think that's basically the same with everybody. Everybody, wherever they go, obviously if they're not going out with friends, they want to have music, on to kind of keep them entertained and things. So I remember I didn't have, the funny thing was I didn't have none of that, and the phone I had at the time, was, phones these days are getting really thin. Companies are trying to make the phones very thin, which means now, we're very lucky we get a charging. We're very lucky that we even get a charging Type-C or, a lightning port to charge your phones and things. So what happened was, I remember I had this pair of 3.5 jack earphones, but I didn't have a way to plug them into my phone. Obviously you can't get them, phone dongles and what have you, etc. But it was quite funny, to be honest, because the way of how everything planned out was I had this Bluetooth sound card. It was basically like a Bluetooth computer live interface, for like live streaming, podcasts and all that things, all that stuff. So I had that, and I remember I was thinking, right, well, if the battery's fully charged in the live pod card, I might be able to use that as some form of output from my phone to basically get around the issue of not having a dongle to plug into the bottom of my phone, and stuff like that. So what happened was I did that, and it was absolutely brilliant. I could have music on. I was literally on mode of transport, ready to go meet my friend. And what happened was, I was just loving life. I was absolutely loving life. I had music pumping in my ears. I was loving it. So about 2 hours after I'd met up with my friend, we met up we went down to my local beach, near to where I live. And I remember I had my headphones on. We were on this roof terrace, and things, which the roof terrace restaurant where we were on was, it's called Little Italy. So Little Italy. And I remember having this pod card on the wall, this live sound card, and I had the music on, and I was looking out, and everybody was just walking past. Everybody was on the beach, and in history there's only been like a good few DJ sets that's took place on a beach. There's been concerts, that's been on the beach, like so. I think Fatboy Slim did a show on the beach one time, somewhere I think in like Florida or the UK. I'm not quite sure, America or something. But anyways, so I remember saying to my friend who I was out with at the time, I says, wouldn't it be brilliant if we could bring some of my audio equipment that I had at the time, because I used to be a busker. I used to sing on the streets and I used to busk, and I actually used to make, it wasn't all the time. Obviously, if you're a busker, you'll know you have your ups and down days. Sometimes you can make like as much money as you can think of. Sometimes you'll only make £5-10. If you're lucky, then that's your bus fare back home. So I used to be a busker for quite some time, so I had this battery operated speaker. And so we went down to do our first DJ set, and I remember it was still summer in the UK, and everybody was just having a great time. Then skip forward to 2025, and all of a sudden we're getting these amazing opportunities. So my old friend from 2024, he basically, long story short, he no longer wanted to come out anymore and basically do the DJ sets with us. And then I found a new friend. His name's Robert. Absolutely brilliant. He loves DJs and music, as well as the next man. So we got, as I said, right, okay, well, I'll give you a chance, and we're still literally going out to DJ and stuff in 2026 while we're about to in the summer. And I've met some really, really brilliant people along this journey. I've met a guy from YouTube. His name's Danny Vlogs, and I think in 2026 of this year, summer, he is wanting to try and do some kind of big, beach, party and all that stuff. So I'll probably get the opportunity to perform, DJ, and do all that jazz and stuff like that. So that's hopefully something that is in the works. We're currently talking online and stuff, and social media, just back and forward, trying to get some things done. So what happened was, I managed to get to meet Danny Vlogs, and yeah, I definitely do think he's wanting to do something this year, a big beach party, like when it's proper summer. So that was basically that. So that one day of not having some Bluetooth headphones and having to take out a Bluetooth sound card that I could connect to has started my entire journey of DJing in public. And it has sparked a lot of controversy and stuff doing this kind of thing. You get you will get people on social media saying, "Oh, he's doing this again. Why is he just upsetting people?" And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not upsetting anybody. There's been a few recent people who I've talked to, and they said, "Oh, everybody thinks, you're an idiot," and, all that kind of stuff. And all I say to them is, well, let them get on with it. At the end of the day, I'm doing something that I enjoy. The thing is, in this kind of DJ world, you're not going to upset every single eye you put your eyes onto, if that makes sense. You're not going to upset every single person. It's just that odd few, jealousy, it's everywhere. So yeah, that was basically how it started, and it's quite funny because I always find it's the older, the elderly generation who always seem to have something to say. They're always giving you, hacky looks, and in your head you're thinking, oh, what do they think right now? But in their heads, they're probably thinking, I wish he, bugger off and, turn that music down, and stuff like that, which, I've said it time and time again, I don't actually do the DJ sets to basically piss people off. I do them basically just to try and make people happy. That's the total opposite of what I want to do. I don't want people to. In the summer holidays, everybody gets out. You go out with meals for friends. You go out on a night time in maybe a couple of clubs with your friends. You go out for meals, restaurants. Everybody flocks down to the beach. To build, bloody sandcastles, get mortal, which means drunk, and stuff like that. So everybody's always doing something in the summer, and that's what I absolutely love. But the beaches is where the heart is for everybody. It's quite funny because in the UK, if we get some brilliant weather, everybody's down the beach. But the British holiday actually died when cheaper flights to likes of Benidorm, Spain, all of that kind of stuff come about. Everybody goes to Ibiza, Spain for the summer holidays, and and different stuff like that. Whereas me, it's amazing to see how much the British beaches actually come back in the summer holidays. Everybody wants to be there and stuff, and it's probably the best place to do a DJ set, beach parties and things. We have got some brilliant things planned for our DJ sets this year. We're going to be going to like everywhere. Majority of the locations are in the UK, in the northeast of all places, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's a brilliant part of the country to live in, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, it's definitely one of those up and down things. At the end of the day, it's the industry that everybody's in. Do you know what I mean? Everybody enjoys to do something. Everybody enjoys doing something, especially when it's in the summer. And to me and my friends, it's just about entertaining and DJing and loving music and all that stuff. Which, to be honest, I think that's genuinely one of the things I was brought up to do. Music and stuff. I listen to all of the brilliant artists. Just to name a few, I listen to likes of James Hype, Medusa, Armin van Buuren, all of these brilliant artists who's been around now for quite some time, a very long time. I think James Hype's recent. He's upcoming, but he's very recent. I think he started a good few years ago, but obviously his lifespan with DJing doesn't go as far back as likes of Armin van Buuren. He started in the early 90s, mid 90s, and all that, early 2000s, and all that stuff. So it's quite unbelievable, and things, and it's definitely something that I do think people should go into, because if you enjoy doing your DJ sets and you enjoy putting the practice in, that practice can go on to some brilliant things, and I should know because I've managed to meet and do some brilliant things. So yeah, it's just one of them things. If you've got like a passion, don't think, well, I don't know if I just do it, and it's definitely one of them things where you think to yourself, well, I wouldn't have the right mind to be able to go out, set up all my, DJ equipment in public and stuff. I have got to say though, going back to people who you meet on this journey, there was one very irritating guy. I was doing a DJ set on my own down one of the local beaches. And long story short, the guy basically said, if you don't F off with your music, I'm going to smash all your gear, which that is sometimes, that is something you are going to come into contact with. You are going to come into contact with idiots who's like that and stuff. One of the things I've found to be a really good maneuver, if you're in one of those situations, is pretend that you're doing a DJ set live stream. I'm not saying to do it all the time because you don't know what these people's minds are like, but I always pretend that I'm on a live stream, and if they say something like that, I always say, oh, look at that, I've got 355 people on this live stream watching the DJ set, and they can hear exactly what you've just said. Do you feel discriminated yet? And that's generally something I sometimes say. I don't do it all the time, because like I've just said, you never know what these kind of people are like. There could be, psychopaths and all that stuff. You never know. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I think everybody should get into. Even if you don't do what we do, like all the big, DJs, all the small DJs who hopefully are upcoming in the music industry. Even if you don't do all that stuff, like go out and DJ in public, if you've got a spare bit of cash, or you've got like a half decent job where they pay you really good wages, half decent wages, don't be like me, where one day I got paid and I went straight out to the nearest local shop and bought a DJ controller and all that stuff. Save up money, get yourself a decent controller. The best DJ control, well, I actually use for my DJ sets, I use the Pioneer DDJ 200 from Pioneer, and it's, in my eyes, I think it's probably one of the most basic DJ controllers out there you can buy. Or let's just say if you are a DJ and you've managed to brainwave that side of the DDJ 200, if that was the controller you started on, I would recommend going on to the DDJ 400 by Pioneer. That's got a few more effects, buttons, knobs. It's got the works on there. It's a bit more of a bigger controller. But if you know what all those effects, buttons, knobs, beat pads, drum pads, whatever you want to call them, the fader, the cross faders, and all that stuff. The DDJ 400 is basically just the same as the 200. It's still a 2-channel mixer. It's still a 2-channel DJ controller mixer. So you're not going to really get mixed up with the amount of channels that you've got. Whereas the bigger, more, say likes of the Pioneer CDJ 3000s, those have got like one mixer you put in the middle, and it could have at least 5 volume channel faders on there, and one cross fader that you can cross between all 4 different Pioneer units. But it's definitely something I'd recommend everybody to do. Even if you've got a cheap laptop or a cheap PC, I would recommend everybody to use if you're using like a Windows operating system laptop or computer, get the free trial of FL Studio and start creating music. But also if you're on like Mac or iOS, get like what's that one, like Pro Tools or something like that, and start creating music. It's absolutely brilliant. And don't be too scared to mess around with, different reverb effects. Don't be too scared to create your own beats. Don't be scared to take somebody else's track, as long as you've got their permission, and remix it. Let them know that, oh hey, I want to remix this. Is there any chance you could send me maybe the MP3 over, and then basically, or the file, and then put it in FL Studio or Pro Tools and start creating different kinds of music. That's how I started. With lots of different music and genres and stuff. I mean, I grew up listening to all of the old stuff. I wasn't into the DJ stuff until 2019. So I have been listening to it for a couple of 4, maybe 6 or 7 years now, or maybe 8 or 9. I have been listening to, all kinds of music, trance, techno, house music, all of this different kind of stuff, which was mainly, once again, Armin van Buuren's kind of trilogy. That's what he's into, and all that kind of stuff. It's really good. Anybody who wants to get into DJing, definitely get into DJing. It's definitely one of those things. I can remember a good few years ago. I remember it was my little nephew's birthday party, and that was where I got my first kind of DJ gig, because at the time my mum and dad couldn't afford to get a professional DJ, but I was like, right, well, I've got a kind of good pair of speakers, I've got, a 2-channel CD mixer, and we had a really good time. We rented out this building where I used to live, and we rented out this building, and we had, a brilliant. It was a brilliant facility. It was a brilliant room and things. The acoustics in there was absolutely out of this world. It was reverby. It was echoey because everyone was screaming and stuff. It was absolutely brilliant. But that was where I got my first love for DJing. So if anybody's actually got the time to DJ, or even just got a bit of cash to maybe, if you want to get the DDJ 200, save up for the DDJ 200. I have got to say, those controllers, you can get one used off I think eBay, or maybe even Facebook Marketplace if you use Facebook Marketplace, but they are quite expensive, the DDJ 200s. I think for my DDJ 200, the first one, I've had 2. I think the first one that I bought, I think I paid £82 for. But if you've got the money, go out and buy a controller. If you've got a good laptop or a good PC, go out and buy a really good controller. I'd really recommend it. It's absolutely brilliant. One of the DJ pieces of software I used to use was Serato, and also Virtual DJ. Those were the 2 really good apps. Virtual DJ is brilliant because you can do all kinds of different things. You can put live stream overlays on top of things. You can have these really cool neon kind of effects going on your computer screens and stuff. I'd really get into it, and thank you, Mandy, and thank you, Mandy and Rob, for having us on and stuff. It's been really good, yeah. Thank you.